Payne. Welcome to Achieve Financial Freedom. Here we sit down with entrepreneurs who share their journey, strategies, and insights to help you build wealth and create the life you deserve. If you enjoy conversations that motivate and educate, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a future interview. Today's guest is Cash Holland. His intellect, tenacity, and outgoing personality have fueled his entrepreneurial journey since childhood. With a strong aptitude for mathematics, a passion for technology, and a deep interest in business, Cash has always found a way to turn ideas into action. Along the way, he discovered an important truth. While earning money can be straightforward, managing it effectively requires skill and discipline. Today, he proudly serves as the executive director of Financial Boss, the nonprofit he founded to inspire financially educated, future-ready leaders. Okay. Hey, Cash Holland, thank you so much for joining me today on Achieve Financial Freedom. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you today, Rhonda?
It's been good. I can't believe, we just had an opportunity to connect. So us being able to meet in this virtual space is amazing. And I thank you for just saying yes to being on this channel.
Definitely.
And
Thank you for the
how,
invitation.
oh, absolutely. How I always start off these interviews is asking my entrepreneurs is what inspired them to start their business. So how'd you get started, Cash?
Well, for me, my entrepreneurial journey has been started almost from birth, I would have to say. I've been an entrepreneur and I've done different things throughout my life. But as far as Financial Boss is concerned, while attending school for my bachelor's degree, basically my minor was in entrepreneurship, and I was charged to bring a company from inception to fruition. And so it was at that particular point in time that I realized that even though I had a handle on my financials at that particular time, if I learned when I was a child, things would have been so much different. It would have changed my financial trajectory. And so what I wanted to do is use my expertise in order to teach children how to manage their finances and how to be fiscally responsible.
Now, for your audience, and you said you work with children, what are the age groups for your clients?
Well, I instruct children from as young as 5 years old, which I know it may seem like that's very young, but actually, I found that it's very beneficial to start that age. One of the things that we realize is that things that are started very early, we're more apt to create a habit for it. So, one of the things that I think we as adults fail at is that we learn things a little too late, right? We're already into a particular habit. We already have spending faux pas, right? But I found that we're educating children. They are more apt, like I mentioned, to implement good financial habits, thereby making better fiscal decisions. And so I do teach children, like I mentioned, as young as 5 on up.
Now, when you're teaching, what is best? Like, I know you have your own kind of philosophy, but what would from what you do in your business, how can the parents kind of carry that on? Because, you set that foundation with your clients, and how can parents continue that learning?
Well, the one thing that I would say is just to do better, right? One of the things that I think as parents sometimes we forget is that our children always do as we do, right? They don't always just do as we say. And so it's very important for us as individuals and as parents, especially leading these young minds, right, is to be able to show them that we are doing better. And so that's one of the things that I try to implement. And one of the things that I wanted to do, even with my instruction as children, is basically for it to influence the parents, right? For them to see that the child is learning better money management skills, and for them to now be able to pick up and be able to do the same and then kind of carry the torch.
That's beautiful. Now, would you say when you're doing your teaching, is it a one and done for your clients, or are they in an environment or a community where they're continuing to get your teaching, your knowledge of, what you have established through your business?
Well, although I have done one-time workshops, that's not preferably what I recommend, right?
Okay.
I do recommend ongoing instruction throughout their years and throughout a certain period of time. I do feel that although starting young is the best thing to do. There are different things and different financial matters and topics that need to be grown on, right? So we're starting with, like I say, like a child that's maybe 5 years old. We won't exactly implement the idea of credit necessarily, right? But one of the things that we would teach them is borrowing and how essential that is. How essential it is to, when you borrow something, to pay it back. And so again, what that does is it sets the foundation of that concept. So now in middle school and high school age, now we can build upon that and go into actual credit, credit scores, credit maintenance, credit bureaus, things of that nature. And so yeah, I would definitely recommend more of an ongoing thing. One of the things we do have is primarily a 8 model pretty much workshop or series that we do, and there's a specific curriculum developed depending on the child's age and school level, grade level I should say. And based on that, we would love to continue to do that. But I mean, if you do just want a one-time workshop, then we're available to do that as well.
I mean, I could keep asking you so many questions just on that. And I actually want to share with my viewers, you have age appropriate content, that being books, because my son actually had an opportunity to have, and I like it that it not only was it age appropriate, but it read to him, because as he's learning to read and things like that, sometimes it's easier just to the audio version of just hearing it, and as you're trying to understand a new concept. And after it's over, we had an opportunity to have a conversation, and I'm like, did you understand the story? And he really did understand that, the characters were going to a concert and things like that. And
Awesome.
I don't, like, if I'm being honest, I don't know that I personally have ever had that opportunity, thinking back to my childhood, to say, what was my first introduction to money?
Right.
So starting, my son being 8, us to sit down and talk, and he understood that there were different ways in which the characters could go about getting the money for the concert. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's just a nice, gentle approach to children that is not overwhelming, and it's bite size, and it's something that
Right.
they could take away. So I just want to give you that chance to say thank you for sharing, and also telling the viewers that you do have content that is just easy. It's nothing complicated, but it's to start the conversation.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you and your son. One of the things that I did implement this year, especially with it expanded into North Carolina, is to make products that were more digital, right? And technologically related. See, our children are not like us, right?
Right.
Where they are much more technologically advanced. Everything is an app or an iPad or something like that. And so I wanted to be able to appeal to them. I also, although I primarily provide in-person instruction and in-person workshop, I also wanted it to reach the masses. What I've learned is that I'm just not able to teach enough, right? I can only do one class at a time with a certain amount of students, but by doing it digitally, then that's something that will be available to much more people. And so one of the things that I did is I started developing the application for children primarily between the ages of 5 and 9. It's about 90% complete. We are hoping to launch Q1 of 2026. And what you're referring to is the Boss Squad storybooks. And so what it is basically, like you mentioned, 4 characters. They were configured or based on the 4 core pillars of financial literacy, that being earn, spend, save, and donate. And basically their travels and their money quest adventures and what they go through on a daily basis, or and how each of them, depending on their personality or their spending style, what they do, how they target this, whether it's saving, whether it's spending, whether it's earning through an entrepreneurial advance, or whether it's like August, who likes to spend frivolously, right? So I appreciate that. And yeah, we're definitely, so far we have been piloting the first book, but there will be an entire 10 book series. And so we continue to work on that. And I thank you for the input and the feedback also, because one of the things that I wanted to do was make it available for not only to children who are advanced as far as literacy is concerned, but those who are not yet. And so the book could be read to them. And so the first thing that I wanted to do was present it as an audio book. So we are actually looking forward to keeping that model, the audio book, but it also will be printed as well.
Well, I appreciate you sharing it. It really, like I said, we've had other books that talked about finances, but it was just so relatable. And so that for that, I appreciated having an opportunity with my son. So we've talked about how you have different things that from the books to the workshops to your teachings. But as you think back on your journey as an entrepreneur, can you tell me a little bit about what has been your biggest challenge?
Wow. As far as the organization is concerned, or personally,
Listen, like I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, it's business and it's
it's
personal.
always a
So I
challenge.
mean,
You are
let's just
absolutely
kind of
correct.
so whatever that is for you in your journey as an entrepreneur, I don't want to kind of box you into your answer, but that is one
I
of the
got you.
things that I want to be transparent for people who are on this journey is what would be one, well, I'm making it for you personally, but what was one of your biggest challenges?
I mean, I guess the typical challenge of entrepreneurs is that this is ongoing, right? It requires motivation. It requires, and much more than motivation. It requires tenacity and commitment. Sometimes people don't understand that, like being a business owner or self-employed or however you want to phrase it, man, entrepreneurship is hard. Okay, it is not your typical 9 to 5. It could go from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. the next morning, right? If you're working on a project or if you're trying to get something done, or if you're like me and your creative hours between 12 midnight and 4 in the morning, like there's a lot of sleepless nights. And so like I really want to impress upon that, it is not for the faint of heart, right? It is not for those who just want to put in a little work and get a big return. That's not what happens here. But I will assure you that if you put in the work and the dedication, you will be rewarded with beyond measure. It is definitely worth it. That's one of the things that I found. Like I mentioned, I've been on this entrepreneurial journey. I want to say since like elementary school, I've been doing something entrepreneurial related. And then I started my first company probably almost 20 years ago now, right? See, so it has always been rewarding. And one of the things that it's also taught me is that I'm able to work for what I want, right? I don't have to have a cap on me. I don't have to necessarily have other people's telling me what to do. I'm able to dictate so many things, and I also have the flexibility that I always wanted in life. So again, although it may be difficult, sometimes the outcome, the revenue is not consistent. There are times when people don't respond the way that you want them to. There are times when you have to do more work than you anticipated. But at the end of it, for me, like I said, it's always been worth it, and I would highly recommend it.
You said highly because well, you already it was already a segue to because I was like, so on the one side I'm talking about a challenge, but then I'm like, what would advice? So it's like you came full circle to say that it's gonna be grueling, it's gonna be a lot of things, but being an entrepreneur has granted you the opportunity for flexibility, being able to, make your own path. And I like what you said. Thank you for saying no cap. So your
Yeah,
earning is limitless. Your earnings are
right,
based on what you do as an individual. And I
right.
think that is that deserves kind of a pause to say, it's as much as you can do um to, better yourself, or not even better
Right,
yourself, but to kind of grow your company.
definitely.
So understanding the challenges, the advantages. Now to get where because you've been in this industry or being an entrepreneur for over 20 years, what kind of resources helped you get and stay being an entrepreneur?
Well, there's been several throughout the years. I'll be honest. A lot of it definitely comes from the support. I want to say that, as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's a journey and you feel like you're out on a ledge or I don't want a tightrope by yourself. And so it is very imperative to get support from friends, from family, from strangers. That kind of keeps me going. I'll be honest. That's what's kept me going throughout the years. Even if it's just one person that said, I know you could do it, or you got this, or that looks great, whatever it is. That's what kind of has kept me going throughout the years. But I want to say here recently, especially this particular year, like one of my greatest resources and measure of support is right in Durham. And it's an organization called E3 Durham. And so they have been a tremendous assistance, right? A wealth of knowledge, some great people. As a result of connecting with that community, I've been able to, now I'm in my second cohort with them. I did a left tech cohort accelerator with them, where I was able to leverage technology in order to advance the organization. And that's how I was able to develop the application. Also through some connections through there. I'm now in the AI certification course because, of course, we know artificial intelligence is here and it's not going anywhere. It's getting bigger, right?
Right.
So I rather, when they always tell us if you can't beat them, you join them. And so I truly feel that those who are not privy to the knowledge of how to use it and how to leverage it for your organization or your company, you're gonna get rolled over, right? And I don't want to be rolled over. So I'm in a certification for that. In addition to that, I'm also in another cohort now, Innovate Durham, where I'm getting the grand opportunity of being able to work with Durham County Library, as well as the government, in order to propel the advancement of the organization. So again, through that support, through the partnership, I've met some dope people, right? Also being able to be connected to different people and going to different networking events like the one that we met at.
Yes.
Man, that I want to say that that's always going to be the best resource that I've had is the people, the connections, the network that I'm able to create as a part of being a part of, and being seen and being out where I need to be.
Thank you. Before we sign off, I wanted to ask, so how can the viewers keep in touch with you, Cash?
So one of the greatest ways is to go straight to the website. So
Okay.
it's www.financial-boss.org. So that's www.financial-boss.org. If you go to the website, you'll be able to get all of the social media links. In addition to that, there's also a tab on the website where you'll be able to see the upcoming events and past events that we've had. And you'll also be able to see the boss squad for the storybooks if you're interested, and also previewing the first story. Or if you're interested in piloting the application, which is the Boss Cub Club, there's also a link in a page for that. In addition, one other thing on the very first page, there is a link where you could click for a free resource. So you asked me earlier about parents and how they could get involved and teach their children at home,
Right.
before or after they use my services to educate their children. Then please go click that link because you'll also be able to get 6 money lessons of what to teach your children.
Cash, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, where the time went by so fast. Like
It did.
I really value your time as an entrepreneur and just again, just saying yes to just speaking to my viewers. Thank you so much for going on, and I look forward. The community is small, so I know we'll be bumping into each other again.
Most definitely. Please don't ever forget, financially empowered children become fiscally responsible adults.
Thank you, Cash. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.